Hello, everybody. This is Sophia Mona Lisa from the Golden Ray Center and the Rosewheel Mystery School. And I'm so excited to start season 3 of Spotlight on Influencers. This is the season 3 premiere. If you follow this series, I normally start the new season in the summer, but I was really excited to discover these 3 amazing women because of an interview that I saw earlier. And I thought, wow, why not start the season off with a bang and invite these lovely ladies to join me? So we're going to be talking to Dr. Lynn Irving, Julie Tasker, and Rachel Elno about a new political party that they are calling the Love Party that they have started in the United Kingdom. And this is going to be a fabulous premiering episode to meet them and to talk to them. So let's see what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the Soul Tribe. And if you've been following any of my previous episodes, you know that Pluto represents the soul. And so we've always talked in terms of individuals. This is the first time that we're looking at these elements in terms of an organization. And so think about the organization also having its own soul tribe, its own soul mission, and that the individuals involved in the organization, or in this case, who are the co-founders of the organization, are integrally and intimately involved in what that soul mission is, because they are the ones that were inspired to bring this into fruition. So we'll be looking at where Pluto is, and we'll see that it's in the sign of Capricorn. And this Capricorn soul tribe is dedicated to reclaiming sovereignty. And as you hear these incredible women speak about why they brought this party into existence, you'll hear that it's very much related to reclaiming sovereignty. The next thing that we're going to look at is what is the party's group soul mission. So we know what the soul tribe is and what the soul tribe is all about, but within that soul tribe, what is this party's specific mission? And then we're going to look at how it intends to achieve the mission. So all of this should be very familiar to people that have been watching this series in terms of looking at Pluto and looking at the North Node. The new piece this season is how the divine plan is going to be unfolding through the party. So to see that, I'm going to be looking at Isis, which is a representative of the cosmic Sophia, divine wisdom, and Magdalene as an embodiment of Sophia, as well as Osiris, the representative of the cosmic Christ, which is divine will, and Yeshua, that is an embodiment of Christ. And you'll notice in the graphic over here, I just want to take a moment and give a shout out to the fact that the reason these ladies named this party the Love Party is because it stands for liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment. And so let's just take a minute here and see if anybody would like to speak to why these values are so important to this party. Who would like to speak to that?
I'm absolutely happy to speak to that. Yes. I mean, the whole reason for creating a non-political party, we refuse to be political, is that we feel that everybody, the whole world really, needs to start being liberated. So liberated from the matrix that we've been, the ideas that have been implanted for a long time now, for over decades, probably maybe even centuries, scientific ideas, financial ideas, all that sort of thing. We are very much programmed. There's been a massive psyops over a number of years, and we need to be liberated from that and liberated from taxes and government regulation and all that sort of thing. Our lives, we can take back that control of our own lives. So liberation. Opportunity also comes with being able to keep your own money, being educated, removing regulation, they all tie in really, means that people have opportunities to employ other people, or to provide opportunities for each other, to start businesses, to get education, to take control of their health, to choose what they want to do really.
Can I bring in
vitality?
Yeah, can I bring in there on the opportunity? Is that also nature and connecting with nature, and knowing that we can grow our own foods, we can have more natural healthcare approaches. So it really is that abundance that nature divinely has. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And vitality is, we think, even more than health. You know, we don't just want to be healthy. We want to make good choices about our health. So not always go to the allopathic. In fact, perhaps that would be our last port of call, the allopathic path. And, you know, introduce people to meds, energy, and naturopathic medicine, so that we can actually make good choices throughout our life, and not just be healthy, but actually be bouncing around with vitality. and then we have the opportunities to do all sorts of things if we're healthy. There's so many people who now don't have the opportunity because they can hardly walk around, you know. And empowerment, yes, education is a big one there, letting people know that these choices actually exist. Part of that is taking away the false ideas, like I said before, taking away the matrix, so that actually they know what financial choices there are, they know what the health choices are, and they can educate themselves. And so it all very much ties in together. It's very much a holistic thing, and it all comes under this umbrella of love, because that's why we want it, really, because we love Earth, we love people, we love life, and we want everybody to embody these 4 values.
I just wanted to add on that empowerment value about common law and reclaiming our common law rights. And I know it's happening a lot in America, this revisiting of the Constitution and claiming back our power, which has been stolen by this kind of system, which has got so many rules and regulations, because fundamentally, provided we cause no harm, injury, or loss to our fellow man and woman, then we are within common law. So this whole burden of legislation, which is entrapping people, this is a great word that Lynn uses a lot, entrapment, to actually liberate people through an awareness of common law rights. And that's a very, very key thing. And it's happening a lot in the UK, a reclamation of the sovereign power, as you said about the Pluto, reclaiming our sovereign power and standing in those common law rights and the reclamation of our rights.
Beautiful.
Yeah, with the astrological influences, as people start to really realize, and hopefully we can even get to teach children this, but to me, we need to get people learning in their local communities. We don't need it to be term time. It needs to be genuinely in the communities, mixed ages, and genuine learning for life. And
yes, real world.
Yeah, astrological influences are so amazing. I mean, the police do recognize that the full moon brings that term of lunacy. And if people are feeling suppressed and not happy, then that is when the lunacy comes out more. But what we need to do is help people to channel that energy into positive ways to support themselves and all of our communities, both local and global.
Right, right. And so what's amazing to me is how these values of the love, liberty, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, and all of these aspects that you've talked about in terms of financial, health, education, political, judicial, all of these things are really keenly tied into this concept of the soul tribe reclaiming sovereignty. And so I wonder, were you aware of that when you were putting all of this together, or is this more a reflection of how those frequencies were dancing through you to be manifested?
Well, I mean, my take is that it was Lynn that apparently channeled this information, and she and Rachel were in touch with each other. and things were happening for me, and I was sort of wondering, where am I going? And then Rachel contacted me, and she told me the liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment. All I could remember was love. And then I'm like, what did you say it stands for? And it just felt so right. And I love to live totally unconditionally loving. And I love to have that approach of, okay, yeah, this is happening to me. Right, just hold the space, see what feels right to do next. And coincidentally with all this, or synchronistically, if we want to use that term, last year, the angel diary that I've been having for years and years and years, they've not done one for this year, but last year's they did it on a bridge. So this year I've had to get a new diary. I've done some astrological training before, but I was really right. I'm going to focus on the moon and, you know, the influences in life and all that sort of stuff, and felt inspired. And so coming on something like this with getting even more information about that is really helpful. So thank you as well.
You're welcome. You're
I
welcome.
just want to say as well, Sophia, that I really feel, my sense is that we are very much capturing this sort of zeitgeist of the times. And I was interested to notice that Marianne Williamson has just announced she's running for the presidency over in America. She just announced that recently. And of course, she wrote the book A Return to Love. So it feels to me that there's a wave of energy coming in, which is much more feminine, and it is much more heart-centered. It's bringing the heart, because we've been in the mind for so many decades and we've lost touch with the heart. So bringing the heart and soul back into, and the corporate world, and, you know, everything is, and this transhumanist nightmare future that some of these techno companies want to push us down. I really feel, I feel that it's a very dangerous path. And so bringing this heart back in so that we can bring that balance and restore our connection with nature, so that we don't go down this, everything has to be digital and our whole world is kind of a virtual reality.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for speaking to that, because even the recognition of bringing the soul back into life, coming back into this heart-led space, that in itself is also a reclaiming of sovereignty for humanity as a species. And of course, Capricorn as a sign of the elders, a sign of the way showers. I mean, the fact that the three of you stepped up as the way showers for this movement is really very empowering for you, and it's very empowering for the feminine as a whole.
Yeah, it is. We found that, well, I've come to the conclusion that the heart is, well, I found out that the heart is the emperor, and the Heart Math Institute has done all these measurements that show how brilliant an energy center it is, and that it reacts first and all that sort of thing. And I know really I'd sort of come to the same conclusion myself, that actually it was the heart that we needed to listen to. The head is just too easily persuaded to rationalize incorrectly, actually.
Exactly.
And you know, once things like if you're going to decide that the world is crowded, whether you believe it or not, but the world is crowded and there's limited resources and things like that, the head can then follow that trail of the argument that, oh yes, we need to depopulate, oh right, we need to do this. And it doesn't, the heart's there screaming, that's genocide, you can't do that to people, you know? And it's there screaming, and the head's going, no, we've got to go down this logical way. So the connection has definitely got to be made again. The head's good. I'm a bit of a scientist myself. I love all the quantum physics and that sort of thing, and I do need a little bit of science to persuade me. But yeah, we really need the heart back. We need it back. And one of my bugbears recently as well is that, you know, Project Ugly, making everything ugly and utilitarian, and making things not cool, and taking away fun and beauty, and that's all that type of thing. I now think that was a very planned lowering of vibration for us all. And so But in a way, that's a little bit liberating, because it means that every time we go out and have a party and have fun and enjoy ourselves and sing and dance and create beautiful things, it's an act of rebellion.
It is
So
absolutely.
that's sort of great too, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Wonderful. Well, let me get back to the slides real quick, and we can continue this amazing conversation. The next piece has to do with the date that you chose for officially birthing this non-political party, for birthing the Love organization. And the date here is January 23rd of this year. And we can see that soul point, which includes Pluto, right here at 28, almost 28 and a half degrees of Capricorn. So I don't know if you can see this little blue hash mark there, but you can see getting very, very close to Aquarius. And in fact, in 3 days, Pluto will move into Aquarius for the first time in over 250 years. Today, just for a matter of reference, is the spring equinox, March 20th, 2023. But I really wanted to highlight this area that by proximity to Pluto at this 28 and a half degrees, all of these luminary bodies, the Magdalene, which we know is the embodiment of Sophia, the sun, which fuels everything it comes in contact with, and Lucifer, which is separation consciousness. All of this is a part of this soul mission, bringing us out of separation consciousness into these Aquarian areas of wholeness, unity consciousness, and the Magdalene and the sun supporting that move. And so let me go back to the group again and just ask you, was there any planning on that date of January 23rd of this year, or did that just kind of happen organically?
Well, I personally felt it was an important date. Firstly, numerology 23/1/23 in the UK way of putting dates, but also we had a very hard deadline with the Electoral Commission that we had to get everything in, our application in, by the 20th of January, which was the Friday. We knew there was a new moon, which I think was on the Saturday, so it made sense in the wake of that new moon to actually do it on the Monday, the 23rd January. So there was a mix of sort of 3D drivers, as well as sort of wanting to get in that new moon, new era energy. Yeah.
Right. Well, and for those that aren't aware, new moons are really important when you're desiring to create and manifest, because new moons are all about planting new seeds of consciousness. And I find it fascinating that you had that hard deadline of January 20th, because that's the day that the sun moved into Aquarius. And so sometimes timings backfire on the dark forces that are trying to manipulate the matrix, because as I always say, no matter what they throw at us, the Sophia Christ consciousness can take it and create something very uplifting and high frequency from it. Are you aware of what else happened on January? Go ahead.
With following some of the moon things, and I've got 2 moon diaries, and I was writing out everything that's happening according to that diary. And when I looked at the 23rd, from what Rachel had said and suggested, and with the 23 and 23, it made so much sense to me that it felt the right thing to be doing. So yeah,
Right.
And being the first day of the week, somehow that launched as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So there was another significant, highly significant astrological event that happened on the 23rd of January. And I'm wondering if either of you are aware of what that was. Okay.
Reveal it to us.
I will reveal it to you. So we've already kind of entered this conversation of the significance of the divine feminine, the sacred feminine. And in the sky, Venus represents the sacred feminine. And she has her own dance with the sun, which is called a synodic cycle. And in this synodic cycle, there are 4 phases that happen over 19 months. Right now, we're in the 3rd phase, which is called the ascent phase. And she has these gate activations that happen each month during the ascent phase that's signified by Venus and the moon coming together in the sky. And that gate activation happened on January 23rd, and that gate activation took place at the sacral chakra, which is the portal of creativity. So the fact that you birthed this as a vehicle for the sacred feminine on that date has an even higher synchronistic significance than you probably already knew, but just shows how keenly aligned to these frequencies you are.
I think Venus is my ruler, is it?
Ruler of Taurus, right? But you said that your ascendant is in Aries, so Mars, the sacred masculine, is the ruler of your chart, and the sacred masculine serves and supports the sacred feminine. So the fact that you were the one that inspired this movement is very representative of that Mars ruling your chart.
I think that might be a little bit generous. Rachel was very instrumental in bringing this, and Julie, we definitely wanted a 3rd person. We were quite keen on the whole getting away from one leader,
right?
Having 3 leaders.
But all is one, and we are one soul together. And man contrives time, God gives it us. And you did the channeling of that information even before you knew that we were going to be doing this. So
I didn't call it channeling. I woke up at
in
the morning and swore at the universe about being woken up at that time, and wrote stuff down so that I could go back to bed. Channeling sounds very grand, but it was it didn't feel like that at the time. But yeah, when I didn't, it's true that I didn't quite know what I was writing. I didn't really know until I read bits of it back. I still haven't read all of it, but
this is where channeling, we've, as a society, we've been given a demonization of channeling, and what we need to realize is everybody does it, and it's not putting anyone on a pedestal because they've done it. We're all doing it anyway, and the more we can follow that intuition genuinely from a heart center, then that's, just know we're all channeling at times anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So it's really great to know that this birth date has a lot of significant meanings on many different levels. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you kind of an overview of what's happening with Pluto in terms of the soul mission, and what's happening with the North Node in terms of how the soul mission is going to be manifested through the party, and especially through you 3 amazing women and anybody else that joins the party. So I just want you to see how they kind of overlap each other here. And then I'm going to break them down. We'll look at the soul mission first and then the pathway second. So let me just move on to that next slide where we can focus here on the soul mission. So we already know that the soul mission is highly integrated with the Magdalene, the inner Sophia consciousness, that's divine wisdom, the sun fueling that divine wisdom to help bring us out of separation consciousness, which is Lucifer. And be aware that the Magdalene, sun, and Lucifer energies are already in these Aquarian energies. And Pluto, by its proximity within a couple of degrees, is allowing all of those energies to blend with Pluto's energies to create something new. I oftentimes use the analogy of when we're water painting and you put some blue paint on on the paper and you put some red paint on the paper and the watercolors blend together and now you've got purple. This is what happens when these energies are standing so close together. And of course, with Pluto, everything is about empowerment. What do I need to move out of the way in order for you as a soul to continue to have this expansion that you desire to evolve towards? And so here, what we're seeing is that Pluto is very much a part of getting us out of separation consciousness and bringing us into unity consciousness in terms of these Aquarian energies. And Pluto itself is very much supported over here in Taurus with the goddess Sedna. The goddess Sedna transmutes frequencies. In 3D, what she does is she transmutes any patriarchal wounds in a way that we can then use those wounds as sacred gifts, new tools to be able to work in a completely new environment. With 5D, which is where this Aquarian energy here is taking us towards, you can even see a bridge here, a bridge from the earthly energies of 3D to the higher frequencies, higher consciousness frequencies of Aries in 5D and above. What Sedna does is she takes all of those tools that we used to navigate in 3D, which will not work for us in 5D, and she transmutes them into tools that we can use in those higher density frequencies. And so what we see here is that we move out of this 3D paradigm of trying to survive, and we get lifted into a whole new paradigm where we can thrive. And that's what Sedna is doing here in terms of her connection with the soul mission. And then across the sky from her is the goddess Epona and Lilith. Lilith is a sovereignty goddess. And notice that Lilith is in Leo. That's that compassionate heart space. That's Lilith saying we need to take back our sovereignty over our heart space and allow us to be led from the heart space as we move into these higher frequencies. And the goddess Epona, who's at 28 degrees right across the sky from Pluto in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign, very emotionally based. Epona is actually the goddess of Leo. She takes us out of that predator-prey consciousness that is a part of what enslaves us in the matrix, and she brings us into a wisdom that's known as the lion heart wisdom, where we are in balance in our heart and we no longer have that predator-prey consciousness, which is a significant piece of being able to come in to unity consciousness. So I just want to go back to the group share and ask, how is any of that in terms of the soul mission reflective of what you've already discussed, but maybe giving you new ahas around, yeah, that's what we're trying to do here?
Well, one of our first sentences, I think, is you have the right not just to survive, but to thrive. It's right. It's right there. You know, the earth is so abundant and we have so much energy coming in and we have so much, so many tools if we just knew how to use them, like breath work and raising our own energy vibration. And it's not difficult stuff, you know, we're just not used to doing it, generally speaking. And it was just, yeah, it's not just about survival. It is about thriving. I mean, even if resources were short, that having a higher energy just means you do not need so much. I don't know about any of you lot, but when I'm in my really good state, I barely eat. I don't need to, and I feel great for not doing. So actually things like stuffing a packet of crisps down my neck is a bit of a symptom that I'm actually going a bit, that I need to do some work. So I also think there's on the 3D level, there's been a lot of suppression of things that enable us to thrive. So lots of patents have been hidden away. I don't know whether you remember in 1950s, there was a water car that was being demonstrated perfectly happily on TV programs, being lauded and acclaimed, and then suddenly just gone. I mean, I don't remember the 50s, but I remember learning a little bit about it, and it was gone, and it's totally not there anymore, though I see now they have started producing hydrogen cars again. So just things like that, when these patents are released, I think there's going to be so much benefit to humanity. We will be able to thrive. We will have energy in a pretty much endless resource. I mean, we should have, it's here, it's all around us. It's coming up through the ground, it's coming down from the sun in ever greater quantities. Of course, we should have energy on tap, and, you know, food and water too, probably. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, I love that predator prey terminology, because we've been using persecutor, victim, rescuer, that kind of classic Cartman drama triangle, which has everyone entrapped in this kind of this battle of victim, you know, either the victim to this big bully persecutor, or this rescuer energy, like the government's going to come and rescue us. And so the collapsing of that, to me, is really crucial to the solution, to the liberation, should we say, the liberation from that Cartman drama triangle, which has us entrapped, and that is like the trauma, the unresolved trauma which underlies that has us trapped in that victim consciousness. It's so important for us to liberate ourselves from that once and for all.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's very much a narcissistic type relationship between us and the powers that be. I'm going to call them, because it's not even the government anymore. They are unseen people who are even controlling the governments. And it is, at the moment, it is like watching a narcissist lose control of their victim. They were very careful at how they managed the psyops, and bringing in a crisis a decade and things like that, and letting us have this, keeping us in project fear, you know. So that they, you know, produce a problem, and then there's a bit of a reaction like, oh no, what should we do? And then they come in with their solution that, lo and behold, takes away more liberty. So we've had that relationship for a while, and now it looks like a bad computer program glitching. It's like they've lost control, a narcissist lost control of their victim, and all they can do is produce a lot of chaos, and so that we can't organize ourselves into actually getting rid of this vampiric, narcissistic, whatever you want to call it, power that's been around for a long time and is now having to let go.
Yes, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, and that concept that you mentioned of the lion heart and wisdom, and sometimes people have sort of tried to criticize us for the word love. We say, well, it's actually grounded love, and anything that isn't love is fear and the more negative side of life. So sometimes people, particularly because I'm a spiritual person and I'm a complementary therapist and all that lot, oh, you're supposed to be a really nice person. Well, yes, I am, but that doesn't mean that you walk all over me. Right. And if you think of that concept of the lion having that presence, and no, actually, I'm going to do what is right here, and I'm going to do it with total unconditional love, but this is for the good of all of us, the highest good and greatest benefit. And we don't always know what that is. So sometimes it's right for someone to just rest. Sometimes it's right for someone to actually stand up and I'm going to positively assert here. So I love that terminology of positive assertion. And that to me is that lion heart energy, doing it with wisdom. Yeah.
And it absolutely is, Julie, because the language around being assertive has been co-opted by the patriarchy, and it has a lot of negative connotation. But with the wisdom of the lion heart, specifically, it is assertiveness without aggression. And I think that that's what you may be tapping into.
Yeah. And I love that Abraham Hicks message that you said of path of most allowance. And that's really where we are, very much so, holding that space, but also finding that path of most allowance. So we are taken with the flow, and we will perhaps come across a little bit of a battering or something as we go, but it's then, right, if we resist and tighten up, then you get more bruised and injured. Whereas
Right.
if you go with the flow, yes, you get change direction, but you just let it go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bend and flex. Bend.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The other thing I want to bring into your awareness is that 29 degrees of any astrological sign is a mastery point. So we saw that Epona was at 28 degrees. Pluto is at 28 degrees. And isn't it interesting, Lynn? Well, all of you, Rachel and Julie, spoke to how so much of the disempowerment has been through fear. Fear is an emotional vibration. And Cancer, as a water sign, is all about emotion. And so Epona moving into that mastery place of emotions, being able to take our own selves, being the mother to our own selves and soothing our own selves and bringing ourselves out of fear into that compassionate heart space love is a really significant frequency that is embedded in the soul mission of the organization.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Yes. Well, let's look at the pathway that all of this is desiring to be completed. And so we look at the North Node, because the North Node is our evolutionary GPS. And we see that it's up here in Taurus, and it's standing very close to Uranus. So a couple of things about this conjunction. First of all, Uranus is the Lord of Aquarius. So the entire way that this mission is going to be completed is going to be liberating, whether it's liberating consciousness, whether it's liberating our emotions, liberating our physical bodies in terms of our health, all of the ways that we can liberate ourselves. That's going to happen because it's in Taurus. And Taurus, as an earth sign, is all about embodiment. So it's one thing to have these really grandiose ideas about let's do this or we need to do that, but to take the inspired action that you three women have taken to help humanity to embody the vision of this consciousness, of these ideals, is very much a part of how this mission is going to be able to unfold. Now, what's really spectacular here is, and I know this green is kind of a lighter color than I intended, but the aspect that's being created here, and I'll go over these pieces in a minute, is known as the butterfly aspect. So even built into the aspect that this North Node is activating in the chart for the organization, it's all about how are we doing this? We're doing it through progress. We're doing it through evolution. We're doing it through modifying our destiny, taking back that sovereignty so that we have our own destiny. We're not going down the pathway that they want us to go down. And so let's look at some of the luminary bodies that are involved in this butterfly aspect. Over here, once again, Lucifer, separation consciousness. We are evolving ourselves out of separation consciousness into being able to manifest from a unified field, that unified source field, from the quantum field, because of the quantum entanglement that we know exists. We've got, of course, Mercury over here in Capricorn, the cosmic messenger that is going to communicate to us and through us how this is going to be able to play out. So having that constant guidance from the cosmic messenger. And where is the guidance coming from? It's coming from Osiris, the cosmic Christ. How is this mission unfolding? It's unfolding as a part of the divine plan. It's unfolding from the Christ consciousness. And that's what's going to help this movement take wing, let these wings take flight. And so in this butterfly aspect, we've got two squares. We've got the cosmic Christ squaring Mercury, and we've got the North Node and Uranus squaring Lucifer separation consciousness. Squares, those 90-degree angles, are all about breakthroughs in consciousness. Well, actually, because we're in this duality, it's either a breakthrough in consciousness or a breakdown in consciousness. But because of this butterfly aspect, the emphasis is on breaking through in consciousness. And then we've got two trines. We've got this trine from Taurus over here to Capricorn, both of them earth signs. And we've got this trine from Libra over here to Aquarius, both of them air signs. And so this is saying that the path of most allowance is for us to embody this new consciousness, to embody this new frequency, and that's going to also support these wings taking flight. So let me go back to the group share and just ask, is there anything around what I just shared, Julie, that sounds resonant to you?
Yeah, well, when you think of the caterpillar, and then the caterpillar goes into the chrysalis and then emerges as a butterfly, and when that butterfly first emerges, so I know this from 2020 when I was 60, and I managed to have some caterpillars that birthed just for my birthday, actually. So 19th of June 1960, and it's like, wow, for them to be ready to fly on my birthday, which, you know, I couldn't have planned. But that sense of once they emerge, they sort of have to adjust a little bit, and you have to give a bit of time for them to be ready to emerge, because otherwise they can't do it with as much abundance. And so watching that and thinking of what we've gone through over this last 3 years, and then, you know, we sort of came together, and perhaps that was while we were going into the chrysalis phase, and now we're emerging as that butterfly. And if you think of the concept of a butterfly flapping its wings changes the weather, we're here to be subtle. So yes, we do need to positively assert and be heard, but sometimes, and I know when I was a teacher in schools, if all the children were very noisy or something, I would start talking quietly. And it was amazing how it sort of rippled out, and then suddenly the children would be, teacher, you know, what am I supposed to be doing? Whereas I've known other teachers that shout, and then all you do is escalate the sound, and actually nobody's happy then. Right. And I'm just amazed how, and that's what we're doing. We're subtly getting out there, and we are changing in positive ways with that art centre. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
See, for me, it's very much about it's not really us. It's everybody doing their little bit, everybody, all of us doing our bit. If anything, we're sort of just saying, do it, explaining why it's important, and in that way being empowering. So I'm saying grow your own vegetables. Everything you do takes back a little bit of power and takes away this their ability to control. So get yourself happy. You're much more difficult to fool and control when you're happy. So much more difficult. That's one reason Project Fear has been kept going for so long. It's because you are much more easy to control when you're in fear than when you're in the higher vibration. So just things like getting happy. Start something in your community that benefits the whole community, that raises the vibration. My example is always a choir, because I just feel so great when I'm singing. So, you know, cook your own food, heal yourself, keep yourself well, do your yoga, keep fit. Anytime that you choose to stay away from a allopathic practitioner, perhaps, or stay off drugs, or anything like that, and looking after your own finances instead of, instead of putting it in a pension plan or something. Just anything that you do it takes back your power.
Mhm.
And Rachel talks a lot about common law. That's it's obviously that is a sort of different level of assertiveness, as being, I am a sovereign being. So all that sort of thing. It's about everybody doing it, and that's what we want them to do. And I love that we've got people in our party who have started gardens for the whole community gardens, and they have said things like, we're going to do it. We're not going to wait for permission from the council or something like that. We're going to do it. We'll put up our polytunnel, we'll get the stuff grown. And I just love it. I think that's how we've got to be now. We just get on and we look after ourselves, and we look after each other and our communities. And then actually, if we do our job properly, we don't need to get elected for one single seat, because everybody will have their own power anyway. And they won't need any top-down rule or guidance or anything like that. They've got it all there.
Right.
It's my view.
And to me, the caterpillar is the system as it still is, and the butterfly is the new system that is beyond us, all is one, and we are just part of that sort of catalyst to help that to happen. But it will only happen with everybody. And it's like that 100th monkey. I don't know if you've heard that story of when a monkey knew about cleaning the coconut in the sea, and then spontaneously, once 100 of them learned to do it, it spread throughout the world. And that's what we're doing. We're sort of raising the consciousness through each of us connecting, and it is happening globally.
Mhm.
And it is much beyond us. So it's not us, but we're all part of it.
Right. Right.
I think this is a really important point, Sophia, because I hear so many people saying, oh, there's not enough people, or we've got to get the majority who know about this, and we've got to get more people. But actually, in truth, it only takes a critical mass to reach a tipping point, to reach a quantum leap of evolution, like that 100 monkey syndrome, the analogy. So this, and I think that is actually one of the mind programs, is that it's got to be big to be powerful, whereas nature is showing us the whole time that tiny seeds have got massive potential. So it doesn't have to be big to be powerful. And so that to me, that unplugging from these mind programs which have been embedded, which say, well, it's not going to work because it's not big enough. That's just not true.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Well,
like how you're speaking to all of this idea of the collective consciousness and humanity as a whole being uplifted by this, because it's absolutely encoded into this pathway through the Aquarian energies and through Uranus, that is the Lord of Aquarius. This is all about liberating humanity on a global stage through that collective consciousness. And so the fact that you're already identified with that is another example of how attuned you are through this organizations amongst each other in terms of how this is going to unfold. It is going to unfold through the 100th monkey. It is the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. The caterpillar becoming the butterfly is one of the analogies that we use for Pluto, because Pluto represents death and rebirth, that resurrection. And so this is all a part of the soul mission and the pathway through which the soul mission is going to unfold, that the three of you just got the momentum going, and it's going to take flight because that butterfly aspect is there. It's just amazing for me to hear you speak to what's actually built in to the chart of the time and date that you chose for this organization.
Well,
It's
it's
quite
good to
reassuring.
know that we've got this auspicious birth chart, because it kind of it's a self-fulfilling prophecy anyway, isn't it? To know that there's a magic that's been in our DNA somehow.
Yes, it is absolutely magical, and it is absolutely being supported by the Sophia Christ consciousness. This is amazing. So let's go.
Responsibility. I don't know about you. Feeling, oh my goodness.
It's beyond you. It's beyond you, beyond all of us.
Yeah.
It is. But this goes back to the idea of the divine plan that we're going to be shifting to. The Sophia Christ consciousness is within the heart of every human being of this planet. It works through us. We are the hands, the eyes, the voice of the God or the goddess, whatever you want to call it. And so this is how the divine plan is unfolding, not only through this organization, but through each of you specifically, and of course, then any other person that joins the organization, because they're only going to join this organization if their frequency is in alignment with these frequencies that have already been, broadcast out to the community.
Yeah.
So I say that to encourage you to trust that it's unfolding through you exactly the way it's supposed to, and so that there's not a sense of the lower mind saying, oh, there's a burden in this. Can I really do this? Because it's not about the lower mind, as you've already said. It's about these higher frequencies. It's about tapping into the universal mind, right? Source is infinite intelligence. It knows exactly what has to happen and through whom it has to happen, and is bringing those people to you, brought the three of you together as the impetus for this. So it's just beautiful to see this within the chart itself. So let's go ahead then and look at this divine plan in terms of an overview, and then I will break it down like I did before. So this is what's amazing, that this pathway here and the soul mission and how it was intending to play out is completely overlaid with a few additions with what we just saw. I have never, in all of the charts that I've read, I've never seen anything like this, how the soul mission and the pathway for the soul mission is completely overlaid by the divine plan. And I think as we're moving more and more into these Aquarian energies, we're going to start to see more and more of this type of configuration in the charts, because you can see the way that I put them here, you've got the pink and the green, because they're both involved. You got the dark green and the dark pink. They're both involved. Same here with this T-square that we're going to talk about. Same here with what's going on with the Pluto, the soul mission point. All of these are overlaying each other. So let's pull them out and look at them individually. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the Sophia consciousness. And we said we're going to look at Isis as a representative of the cosmic Sophia, and we're going to look at the Magdalene as an embodiment of Sophia. And so what we see with Isis, divine wisdom, here in Virgo, she's making a trine to your Uranus, which is conjunct the North Node. So just like we had the cosmic Christ involved in the pathway for the mission, we've got the cosmic Sophia, divine wisdom, very much involved in how this is going to liberate humanity. And it's going to do it through that feminine gateway, because Virgo, as the second earth sign, we've got Taurus here, Virgo here, and Capricorn here. Virgo is all about being in sacred service to the sacred feminine. And for me, in the work that I do, the Sophia is the highest manifestation of the sacred feminine. And so it is through the divine wisdom of Sophia that humanity is being liberated. And it is through her working through each one of you and the organization as a whole that this is going to take place. And now we see over here, right next to Pluto, the soul, we've got the Magdalene, the embodiment of the Sophia. And she's making an aspect that we call a T square. Here's the top of the T, and here's the stem of the T. And we've already talked about Epona and Lilith over here. And so what happens in this opposition that's at the top of the T is all of the frequencies here and all of the frequencies there, they blend together across this axis in a very balanced way. And when they blend together, they raise their frequency up to a higher point and create something new. And this something new that's being created at this higher point from the blending of all of their frequencies is being focused right here to the tip of the stem. And it's being focused on Yeshua, the embodiment of Christ. And so it is going to be through everybody's own inner Christos Sophia that's being all of the consciousness around the fact that we are embodiments of the divine. We are embodiments of love. That whole consciousness is being restored. And through allowing the heart space to open and allowing the inner Christos Sophia that each of us hold within us to work through us, to guide us, to inspire us, that is part of the divine plan that's going to be how this organization is going to unfold that part of the divine plan. So you see, the divine plan isn't just about taking back our sovereignty, which is a tremendous foundational piece, but really what you didn't know is that the Sophia Christ consciousness is using this non-political party, this movement that you have brought into this reality as a way for humanity to remember and wake up to the fact that our power is the fact that we're embodiments of the divine. Our power is that we have the Christos Sophia within us. And that divine wisdom of Sophia is what is going to be guiding us. And is every time you get a little aha or a little download, that's that Sophia speaking to you. So is there anything around that? Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, I did just want to give a shout out to the men, because it may look that we are just a party of women or divine feminine, but we have attracted some very evolved masculine energy into the party already, that Christed masculine. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the men who've shown up, almost like Knights Templar to the Magdalene. You know, it always feels like that. You have the Knights of the Holy Grail arriving to support the divine feminine. So just want to give a little shout out to all of the amazing men who are part of the Love Party already.
That's fantastic. And we know that they are there because they are evolving as much as we are. We all have the inner feminine. We all have the inner masculine, and bringing them back into balance allows us to work in this way. And so, yes, it's very important to recognize and to appreciate those knights that are stepping forward. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, when we talk about masculine and feminine, we're sort of using the more mainstream approach to life, whereas I prefer yin and yang, and no one is totally yin, no one is totally yang. And in different situations, different yinness comes through supporting, yangness comes through as activity, and different aspects of all that. So we're limited by terms, but also it's wonderful how many men are involved. So we have got a balance, and hopefully with the development of the education system and a lifelong approach to teaching and education, with mixed ages, mixed masculine, feminines, and all that sort of stuff, we can help people to appreciate their own yinness and their own yangness, and when each of those is helpful to come through, and how to develop other aspects of yourself. Yeah.
Well, and Julie, I'm so appreciative to you for you bringing onto the table the concept of the yin yang, because if you look at the yin yang symbol, in the yin, you've got the yang. In the yang, you've got the yin. And so this symbol is really one of the oldest symbols for Sophia Christ consciousness, because the Sophia Christ consciousness is what we call sacred union of the Christ and the Sophia together. They are always in perpetual sacred union. And the manifestation of their union is that frequency of divine love. And so the yin yang symbol demonstrates that sacred union, that sacred marriage of the Christos Sophia beautifully, that each of us have within us. We all embody that. So thank you for speaking to that, because it is another way for some people to be able to understand and relate to this language that we're using. Did you have something you wanted to share, Lynn?
I was just thinking our name has really helped actually to attract in the spiritual, the men who are who completely get this, and well, and everyone actually, because it's a pretty high mass Ternalia colors too, and you have to be pretty comfortable with all aspects of yourself, including the feminine, to be happy to go out and say, I represent love. Right. And these men absolutely, they're not just okay with it, they are thrilled to do it. You know, they are absolutely in with it. And our name has really helped that that process, really, to attract in a really good energy of people.
Beautiful, beautiful. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Rachel?
And nothing at the moment. I'm just listening in rapture with just fascination at this, because it's so beautiful to have this astrological analysis. You know, it's so beautiful to hear all of this magic in our chart. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to switch gears and we're going to look at the Christ consciousness. And I love this piece that we discussed because, you know, with that sacred union of Sophia and Christ, it's kind of like a coin, right? If you hand me a coin, you're not saying I'm handing you the head of the coin or I'm handing you the tail of the coin. You're handing me a coin. Both of them are there together. So let's go and look at the Christ consciousness and how it is unfolding through what you have all been inspired through the Sophia Christ consciousness to create. And so here we are. There's that butterfly. Here's Osiris, the cosmic Christ that's a part of that butterfly. And then here's Yeshua, the embodiment of Christ that's a part of that T square that we just talked about. And so you can see from where we had the Isis and Magdalene and the Osiris and Yeshua that they're really beautifully woven together like a tapestry. They're not disjointed frequencies that are trying to somehow find a way to resonate with each other. They're beautifully woven together. And of course, the Christ consciousness piece brings in this butterfly aspect. And we've already talked about how the sacred masculine that's represented by Christ, that's represented by Yeshua, is always here to serve and support the sacred feminine, which is represented by Isis over here and the Magdalene over here. So very intricately evolved, and it is through action. Action is a masculine force, is a masculine energy. It's through that inspired action that this butterfly is going to be able to lift its wings off of the ground. And we've got that action that's here with Lilith in the heart space. That these fire signs are all about inspired action. Aries here being ruled by Mars, the sacred masculine, which embodies Christ and Yeshua. So this is how those knights that have come to your round table are helping to make sure, to ensure that this butterfly takes flight. So a lot of this we've already spoken to, but it's good to be able to see it here from just a different perspective in terms of how those frequencies weave together. So is there anything that either of you would like to speak to in terms of how that masculine energy is really supporting the unfolding of this organization's mission? Yes, go ahead, Julie.
Well, when you think of what we've all had for all our lifetimes, a very sort of emphasis on the masculine, and the man goes out to work, the woman stays at home. But then suddenly, when I was sort of starting to be a mother, the mothers were supposed to be, after post World War II, going out to work as well, and nobody really, bringing up the children and stuff. And so it's interesting how we're now going sort of to balance things, harmonize and balance. And it's been wonderful that people have come to us that are masculine, as we call them, and that they're helping that balance. And I know when you've got a child, it's not necessarily the female that's the best person to be the stay-at-home parent. Sometimes it's the male. So it depends on each of those people and their yin and yangness and other things in life, and divine guidance, I would say. And so I think I've lost my track a little bit as to where I was going, but yeah.
Well, and let me just say real quickly, Rachel, that what Julie's speaking to in terms of that harmony and balance is very much encoded again in that divine plan, because if you remember, the cosmic Christ is in the sign of Libra, and the sign of Libra is all about balance. It's all about harmony. So it's right there encoded into how the Christ consciousness is, as a part of the divine plan, is unfolding through your organization. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak a little bit about women in politics traditionally have had to really draw on masculine energy to get ahead. If you think of Margaret Thatcher here in the UK, maybe even people like Hillary Clinton, Jacinda Ardern down in New Zealand. And there is, and I know from having had a business background sort of in the 1980s and 1990s, that we women were very much drawn into having to be as hard as the men. And to me, the beauty is to be able to bring that heart and that love and that femininity into what was all very masculine worlds of business and politics. And to me, that is the transformation that's really so needed now. And because, women are drawn into this masculine energy, which is very draining and exhausting ultimately, and very stressful. So that to me is a very important shift in the way that things are transforming right now.
And I think it's important to recognize that manifestation of what they identified as masculine energy wasn't sacred masculine energy. It was patriarchal energy. It was the sacred masculine that was made profane. And that's why it was so exhausting. That's why it didn't work for women. That's why women were called bitches, but men were called heroes, because it wasn't sacred. It was patriarchal. And so, yes, bringing the heart piece back into place is so significant, because it allows the sacred masculine to show up in its power and be modeled in a way that it hasn't been seen or modeled on our planet in thousands of years. And the fact that these men are attracted to the organization and are joining it is spectacular, to know that they feel safe enough and empowered enough to show up in their sacred masculine and have left that patriarchal energy behind them.
Wow, brilliantly explained. Thank you.
That is really lovely, because our men are not patriarchal, are they? I haven't seen that in any of them. They've all been, what can we do? How can we support? How they've been, as you said, the sort of knights, really.
Yes.
And
the fact that they get that they're there to support is significant, because patriarchy wants to control and dominate. It's not about supporting anything. And that's the real difference between sacred masculine and patriarchy.
Mhm.
Sacred masculine serves and supports the sacred feminine. Yes, Rachel.
You've touched on a really interesting thing there, Sophia, because there have been some people who've kind of wanted to come in, but have sort of like not been able to kind of quite make it in the sense of energetically. And there's this sense of like, you're never going to win. There's no point because you're not going to win against the big parties. And it's kind of like missing the point a little bit. So it's really interesting that you've touched upon this moving away from this competitive, there's no point doing it unless we're going to win energy. It's very
profane masculinity. I love that. Profane,
yes,
sacred.
very interesting.
Yeah, of course it
Yeah.
is.
And it's not about winning, it's about squashing them into the ground and stepping on their necks. It's winning at all costs.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say it's about dropping those seeds, and do they go on barren land or do they actually get to grow? And then I've just in my head seen a picture of a plant growing in a crack in the road.
Right.
And that is the sort of thing we're starting to do. And obviously, if something does grow like that, eventually it can actually break whatever it's in and become more powerful through that way. And that's where we are.
Yes. And it's a perfect segue back to the overall soul tribe that this organization was birthed into. Because think about the children that are being born now. They are the ones that are getting those seeds. The children that have already been born as Pluto has been moving through Capricorn. And let me just double check my notes here. Pluto moved into Capricorn back in 2008. So there's a whole new generation of children that are a part of this reclaiming our sovereignty tribe that are going to receive the seeds. They're the ground that is ready for the seeds that you're dropping. You are the way showers for them, and they will pick them up and carry it forward.
Oh, thank
Wow.
goodness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see where we are on our slides here. We've gone over the divine plan and how it's working through the organization, and have recognized that beyond all of the things that the organization is doing in terms of reclaiming our sovereignty in the various areas of our life, that ultimately what it's doing is that it's helping people to remember that they are embodiments of the divine, and how to use the power of their sacred feminine and their sacred masculine in their lives. So this is the first episode of season 3 for Spotlight on Influencers. This is the premiere episode. I can't think of a better premiere in these times that we could have had. And just want to bring into your awareness that if either of you ladies, anyone in your party, anybody watching this, has any idea of an individual or organization that you would like to see featured on this series, you can send me a note here on my contact page to let me know. And if you do that, it would help me tremendously if you could assist me by either including or having that individual or organization provide to me the information that I need to be able to cast their chart. Also, you can assist us by sharing these episodes with your friends, family, and social network. And if you would like to find me, you can do that mainly on YouTube at my YouTube channel, the Roseville Mystery School. I'm also on Telegram and also on Rumble. So at this point, I just want to thank the 3 of you for showing up. Thank everybody for watching our full episode. And if there are any final words about what we've discovered today, if there's any final message around your non-political party you'd like to share, this is the opportunity for you to do that.
I'd just like to say thank you so much, because I've had some insights into this before, but it's lovely to have some of that reinforced, but also new aspects to come out. And it's been a really good discussion. So thank you.
You're welcome, Julie. Thank you, all of you, for agreeing to show up today.
Yes, thank you very much. It was, fascinating stuff. And I love I needed to be reminded that it is about remembering.
Yes.
Christ consciousness, about remembering. It's not about having to learn something new or, teach everyone new stuff. It's just about remembering.
Right.
So I love that. Yeah, that was really good. Really nice to see.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Sophia, yes, thank you so much. And obviously, we're a UK political party, so our members have to be in the UK. But wouldn't it be wonderful if there was an American version, or in fact, worldwide,
Right.
that could actually take this Love Party concept and create them all in every country across the planet? Wouldn't that be the most amazing thing? So just putting that little seed out there of possibility to create this wave of a different way of doing politics and a different way of being on the planet.
I absolutely agree. And I hope that we will start to see the Love Party start springing up. And of course, the United States is a very large country. So, even from state to state, it would be great to see it start springing up that way. And do you mind sharing your website so people can go to your site and read more information about you?
No, that's great. Absolutely. Any sharing, anything that gets it out there is brilliant.
And your website is the link?
Yes.
It's www.love-party.co.uk.
Okay, and I will put that link in the description box below this video so everybody can find you and learn more about.
We're on Twitter and Facebook and Getter as well. Getter perhaps more for Americans. We seem to have a lot of Americans in Getter.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you on Telegram?
We're on Telegram. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Excellent.
The links are on the website.
Okay. Good idea to look there for all of those links. Excellent. Well, again, thank you, ladies. I mean, you are the goddesses that are changing our world, and I just really have so much appreciation for you not only receiving the call but stepping up and meeting the call. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.